Hi, I'm Dee.
I'm Jose.
And we're your token theater friends. People who love theater so much that we'll even go out in the rain for it. It's been very damp here in New York.
It's very wet.
So today we're interviewing one of Jose's favorite people. Who do we talk to?
We talked to Tony winner Alice Ripley, who's currently in a show called The Pink Unicorn, where she plays a Texan mom whose daughter comes out as gender queer, gender-nonconforming. So we went to the Episcopal Actors Guild to talk to Alice, and go check out the interview.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell our viewers what The Pink Unicorn is?
Well, the play, The Pink Unicorn, is a one-woman play, and it's 48 pages of nonstop talking. And the character is Trisha Lee. I play her. But the Pink Unicorn is also a character in the play that doesn't appear, it's imaginary. It's like a guiding light. And Pink Unicorn is also it's what happens when you join hearts. That's what the play would call it. It would say, listen to that, that's the sound of a pink unicorn.
And it's also about a woman whose child comes out as gender nonconforming and the reverberations of that throughout a small Texas town. And so what kind of research did you do on the gender spectrum? Because the mother in the story also does the same research and is very surprised about all these new terms that she's learning.
Well, a lot of what's in the play I already knew as far as facts go, but the characters, because it all comes out of these characters. I'll be honest and say, it was not easy to get to like some of these characters. Not Trisha, but I mean, some of the people I describe, I wrestled with that because I have to speak for them. And some of the things they say, Alice goes, wait a minute, I got something to say about that. But I have to put Alice in a little closet while I do this. But Trisha is somebody who is changing, and you get to see her change from somebody who is just kind of repeating the same old pattern, which all of us would do. But it just so happens to be about something that's soul-oriented. And I think it's because of the timing, that it's now. I don't think it would have been 50 years ago. There wasn't like an infrastructure of love to do that back then.
I mean, this is kind of embarrassing to say in front of you, but I'm a huge Alice Ripley nerd.
Awesome!
And something that I've been really fascinated by about your career is that, in Sideshow, you were, stuck to your co-star,
Stuck with you, yes I am. Stuck with you. That was a song that was cut, but somehow you picked up on that through osmosis.
Right. And then in so many of the parts that I've seen you play, especially in recent years, I mean, obviously things like Next to Normal and Pink Unicorn, and even to a degree American Psycho, it's like your characters are always isolated. And I mean, in this one, we can't see your co-stars. In American Psycho, there was like that weird dynamic where you played the mom and also the other character, and you always came and out of nowhere, so to speak. And that was the same dynamic in Next to Normal in a way. And I wonder, what's that like? Like going from Sideshow where you were like a unit with your co-star to then playing all these characters that are like islands in a way.
Well, it's different, definitely. And I'm on the other side of the hill. I mean, I'm not embarrassed by my age. I feel like I should be proud of it. Because I made it. You know what? There were plenty of times that I was at the bottom. So it's great to just let that shine and be proud of it. I mean, of course, we all wish that we had this and that and this and that from days gone by. But I have things now that I didn't have before. So I guess what I'm saying is there's a wisdom that comes with when you spend your life just doing this. I mean, I've manicured my whole life to do this. It wasn't something I thought, maybe I'll do this too. I didn't do anything else, And that's why I can spend 5 days in a row, day and night, without anybody who's depending on me or expecting me to pick them up somewhere. Just immersed. You do kind of become a little crazy. It's like, I can't look at this anymore. But that's what that takes to do something on your own. In this way, American Psycho was the first Broadway show I did after I won my Tony, and I noticed a difference just in the climate was just a little bit more. We're just a little bit more, just a little more careful, maybe more respectful. But I kind of want people to invade me. Do you know what I mean? And crash on the floor. So I'll kick you out if you get in my way. Don't worry. So I am hoping to get cast in another Broadway show because I miss that company. Miss being in a company. There's nothing like that. And I write my own music, and I do all kinds of stuff on my own because we have to. Otherwise, you know what I mean. You got to keep that fire going. Mm-hmm. But my first love is being in a company, in a show.
Transitioning to being a younger actress to being an older actress, and I've always heard the criticisms there's fewer roles as you age for women in this industry, and so how have you managed to stay the course and pick roles that are not just a mom but actually a mom with agency or a woman who doesn't depend on men to do things for her?
Well, that I have to say that I'd like to say that maybe I thought of it was my idea, but no, the work comes to you. People like Liz, the producer of the Pink Unicorn, Liz Fleming, she handpicked it for me and said, "What do you think about this?" And I mean, of course, how could you say no to that? It's kind of well, this is destiny. Tom Kitt came right out and told me he wrote that show for me, Next to Normal, and so I didn't say, "Will you write me a show?" I didn't even know him, so of course you're going to jump on it as soon as possible. And it just happened to be something that won the Pulitzer Prize, but. So the work comes to you, and you draw the work. I do have choices. Yeah, mm-hmm. I say no to things, but it's obvious what you want to say yes to. Mm-hmm. And right now, I just was really jonesing to do a play, even though I miss singing. I want to still sing every day, but I do a lot of talking, so I have to kind of take some vocal rest. But I wanted to do a play, and then I'm doing a one-woman musical this summer in Australia. Tell Me on a Sunday, which I did at the Kennedy Center, and I got a Helen Hayes nomination for it. I kind of forgot about it because it was only a few weeks, ran for a few months or whatever. So that's going to be, it's kind of back-to-back with this. It's kind of interesting, don't you think? Because that's completely sung through.
Wow.
It's another one of those things where you go on stage, you go on stage with your suitcase and you go, I'm the only one who's going to make this thing happen? Really? This is it, just me? I'm responsible for all the tears, all the laughter, all the... Mm-hmm. And you just take it on and just pretend that you're the character. And it works, because a piece like Pink Unicorn or Andrew Lloyd Webber and Don Black's Tell Me on a Sunday, it's just, the piece is so good. You can really just sit back on it and just... It's like a throne. You just kind of sit on it. It holds you up. You're not going to fall, these pieces, So I guess maybe that's where I might pick and choose the piece itself. I have the luxury now, because when you first start out, you say yes to everything because you have to. And you want to. But as you get older, it's important to remember, to give yourself raises and to learn how to say no for the right reason. But it's really that you're saying yes to something else. Mm-hmm. And then you have to live with it. You just have to say it. But you really want to make the action is that you're saying yes, as opposed to no, no, no. And okay, yes, and then you guys fall away. And so you say yes to something because it's just so obvious, right? I mean, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. You're creative, right? You probably get ideas for stories that are then the one, right? Mm-hmm. The one that's I want to cover that one. Yeah.
Trisha's daughter is named Jolene, and I kept crossing my fingers that you would sing Jolene at some point, and it never happened.
Jolene. Oh, please don't take him even though you can. I wish I could sing like Dolly Parton. And I don't know what the words are. It's your eyes are this, and you're something, and you've got boobs like this, and you look real great in boots, and I don't know the words what to do. That's what they do when they don't know the words. That's Dolly Parton, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I'm thinking maybe this piece might someday, maybe someday when we do it on Broadway or whatever, or if there's a movie, we'll add some music that I won't necessarily sing, but it'll be there with the piece. Maybe something funny or something soulful. Maybe an anthem or a hymn or... I said soulful, and then the bells started ringing.
It was magical. But thank you for singing. That was so beautiful. It made my year. But what I wanted...
We're going to keep that clip forever.
But what I wanted to ask you was, I was sitting right there, and I was so fascinated because there's music in Trisha, and I felt you were singing the entire time. And I wonder, you've spoken before about how when you were in college, you started doing like the classic plays, right? Like the Chekhovs and the Shakespeare's and all that. And then musicals like were something that you just happened to, they found you. And you
They
found
kind of
them.
pulled me in.
Yeah.
But it's just because I didn't have the benefit of having musical theater in my life when I was growing up. I had my parents' albums, their LPs, some of the soundtracks from Music Man or whatever, but that was it because the town I lived in we didn't really have any theater. I didn't know any actors, but I just knew I wanted to sing, and then that meant all these other things you do too when you start singing. Then you put yourself in a musical, yeah, and turns out that musical theater is one of the most challenging things that I've ever done or tried to do outside of ballet or sight reading Cantonese in the recording studio, which I did one time.
Well, for me as the audience, someone asked me like what I love about theater, and for me, it's as a person who has trouble focusing, like it forces me to focus and turn everything off and just sit there.
Yes, that's what it is, and so, everybody makes this happen. I'm just the one doing it, but there's all these other people that are helping to make this happen. But that's how you do something like that. You kind of that's how I remember. You asked me how I got all the material, and I'm just now finishing chewing it up and digesting it, and kind of going, how can I integrate this? Is that it is a little bit. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little. You feel overwhelmed, and that's normal. If you're a creative artist and you feel overwhelmed by the material, just know that that's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you first hear your own voice back in the day in the 70s, when I was a teenager and we got the Brady Bunch tape recorder, the cassette. You don't know what I'm talking about, but you have to press record and play at the same time. That's the first time I ever heard my voice talking back to me. It's almost like you hate it at first, because that's kind of art, your voice, and when you're hearing it for the first time and you've never seen it from that perspective, it's almost... You don't like it, and that's kind of how art is sometimes. Not always, but sometimes the best art is the art that makes you go, what's happening over there? Just keep looking at it, and then I think maybe a body of work is important because then you can look at everything that this person has done and gone, or this team, and go, wow, okay, well, I can see, why they like it now, because you see the whole body of work, but getting in a theater and making yourself focus and feeling open and relaxed, and it's just like a sacred thing, and we do it together. The audience, you guys you do all kinds of things, all kinds of hats, but you were in my audience, and so someday I might be in your audience when I read what you wrote or whatever.
Characters like Trisha are characters that we hear about in the news, especially like people in New York, cities like New York, for instance. And we hear about them in the news, and we often tend to be very judgmental about them. In the same way that, people in red states are very judgmental about people in the liberal bubbles and all that stuff, right? And I wonder, what did you learn, even though this is a very cliche question, but what did you learn about what's going on in America today by immersing yourself in someone like Trisha?
You asked earlier about the character, how I researched the character, because she is really different from me. I know a lot of people from Texas. I know people who tell these stories. My co-star in Next to Normal, Bobby Spencer, he goes, I'm going to tell a story, and it's going to take a while because I love to tell stories. The reason I brought that up is because it made me think of there's a TED Talk, and I don't know the lady's name, but she stands up and she does the pink. It's not the play, but she tells the real life story of her story, which is, there she is. There's Trisha Lee. I don't think that woman's from Texas or anything, but that's even more to the point. That it's something that everybody's experiencing right now, and that just made me feel like if there's one lady who's doing that for the TED Talk, there's 100,000 of them that are going through this, and it's just starting to crack. So there's going to be a lot of people who still, like I would, who still are going to wait to see what happens. Do you know what I mean? And this play is what's happening And it's the kind of thing that if people can just get themselves here, it's going to transform them. And the thing is, I'm not just saying this, I really mean it. Next to Normal had this thing that happened when we were in the beginning stages like this in the workshops. I mean, it was a different show back then. But still, there'd be like 15 people in, the Ripley Greer reading room or whatever, were presenting it. In the beginning, everybody's just like, their phone watches, they're hungry, they want to, what's this going to be like? By the end, I had the privilege of watching audience after audience, and that just never stopped. It was still going on. Mm-hmm. From the very beginning, they were transformed. Like I can see it on them. They're transformed by this. And that's what this piece is doing already to the audiences. I mean, no matter how they respond, I can see it because they're right there. And it's incredible to me to see something that's at the beginning, because having gone through the whole trajectory of Next to Normal, I have a feeling like this has the same kind of impact potential, which makes me feel really excited and happy. Mm-hmm. Because personally, I feel like, let's go, people. Let's go. This is how you do it. Like, this is how you deal with it when your kid says something like this to you. Because Trisha has all the challenges. Like, it's not easy, but what I decide to do is, Trisha, there's a line where I go, this or my daughter, there's no contest. I mean, how could there be? And yet, Trisha's standing up in church and speaking up, which isn't like what the pastor's saying. It's like the most radical thing that anybody in that town has ever done. And it's just standing up and walking out. So I think that's fascinating because, it's like there's got to be at least somebody in there that agrees with me, and there is. Somebody follows me out, And then she knows this whole underground railroad people that are just waiting for a leader to organize. I didn't know it was going to be me, Trisha says. But that's what I want people to know that they can do. It's like when I talk to my students in a master class and I say, it's life or death right now, you guys. Like, you can edit this out if you want, but our president has decided that what we do has no value. I'm here to tell you, he's wrong. He's just wrong because I can show you the track record of how I've supported myself in New York City. I mean, come on. So I want to set fire to them so that they get excited, and they can see that I'm like me, that they're like me, and that they can do what I did. And so I want to set fire to the audience so they can see that they're like they can do what Trisha does, which is choose to love. Mm-hmm. That's all. It's that love is love is love that Lin-Manuel said, but like an hour and a half version of it.
And we both saw it on Mother's Day
I saw
weekend.
You sitting right there. You had a tear right here.
I did.
You had a tear sitting on your cheek, and it just cracked my heart in the best way. Oh. Yeah, it was beautiful.
I wanted to tell that. Like,
it had a little bit of reflection on it. A little window of reflection on your teardrop.
How much do you watch the audience when
you
were
were right there.
It?
I mean, it was at the end. It was a couple of times toward the end. I look at the audience, when I'm talking about, well, we can't just end this. Yeah, but it's kind of easy to see you. Don't be embarrassed, though. That's good. Mm-hmm. I love seeing your faces because I love seeing how it's transformed.
Yeah, I felt seen. But what I really wanted to tell you, and again, I have to apologize again for my fan moment. But since we saw this on Mother's Day weekend, and as the son, as the gay son of a mom who we've had a quite contentious relationship after I came out, and after seeing your work on Saturday, I texted my mom immediately to tell her that I loved her, and I haven't done that in a very long time. So thank you.
That's such a gift that you just gave me by telling me that. Thank you so much, and that you. Oh, wow, that's incredible. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because, look, I don't want to get too whatever woo-woo, but like all we have is the fabric of right now. So like, I mean, you didn't let your mom go through the day without hearing from you, because I guarantee you, no matter what she's ever said or made you feel, she loves you. That's all. She loves you. And sometimes it's easier to just go. But there's the thing I've learned, and I've gone through a lot of loss the past decade, intense. But your heart's either open or it's closed. There's nothing in between, and I kind of learned that the hard way. And it's scary to remain open, to everything. So I have to thank you for doing that, because you just made a little bit of peace happen in the world by doing that. And you did yourself a favor too, because you had some forgiveness. Because when you forgive, I'm not a therapist, but I've just done a lot of work on myself. When you forgive, it's for you. We know that. But it's one thing to get it intellectually, and then it's something else to get it done here, and so you did it. So I'll give you the thumbs up emoji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jose.
And before I cry on camera, thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much for your support. And please come back again. And I hope that everybody makes their way up to the Episcopal Actors Guild. It's 1 East 29th Street. And this room itself, you just want to be in this room. And it's going to be fun. Come on out and say yes.
So, if we're kind of like conjoined twins because we're always together, are you Alice Ripley or Emily Skinner in this relationship?
Depends on the day.
I think I'd be Violet, because I would also not be happy if my conjoined twin decided to go get herself a man. Because that is not what sisterhood is. All right, thank you for watching the show. If you like our interviews, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up on the YouTube channels. And if you want to hear more from Token Theater Friends, we also have a podcast where we review shows. And this week we're reviewing Tootsie on Broadway. Are men dressing up as women? Is it funny in 2019? We're gonna find out. Don't spoil it, Jose. Don't spoil.
I'll try.
Thank you all for watching, and remember, theater's more fun when you take a friend. Bye.